Have you ever felt like your brain is your worst enemy? You blurt out one awkward sentence, and hours later, it's still echoing in your head. You're faced with a choice, but instead of acting, your mind spirals, replaying every failure, every disaster that hasn't even happened. You lie in bed, exhausted, yet wide awake, because your thoughts won't let you rest. That's not just thinking. That's overthinking. And it's one of the quietest, most relentless ways we destroy our peace. But what if I told you there's a psychological trick, simple, powerful, and immediate, that can stop overthinking dead in its tracks? Not just distract you from it, but help you take back control in seconds. See, overthinking isn't just a bad habit. It's a loop fueled by anxiety, fear, and the illusion that if we just think long enough, we'll find the perfect answer. But that's the trap. The more you think, the less clear things become. Clarity isn't born from spiraling thoughts. It's born from stepping out of the spin. So let's start with this. Overthinking isn't a thinking problem. It's a feeling problem. You don't overthink because you love logic. You overthink because something underneath feels unsafe. Something inside is whispering, "You'll mess this up," or "You're not ready," or "This has to be perfect or else." And your mind, trying to protect you, takes the wheel. It starts running scenarios. It starts rehearsing disaster. It believes that if it just works hard enough, it can eliminate the risk. But life doesn't work like that. And deep down, you know it. So here's the truth. You don't need more answers. You need more presence. Because overthinking lives in the future or the past, it cannot exist in the now. And the fastest way to snap back to the now is this. Shift from your mind into your body. Here's the trick. When you catch yourself spiraling, don't argue with the thoughts. Don't try to logic your way out of them. Instead, do something physical. Clap your hands. Stand up. Take a deep breath and name 3 things you see, 2 things you hear, 1 thing you feel. This tiny act grounds you. It breaks the loop, because now your brain is processing sensory input, not abstract fear. It's not thinking about tomorrow's meeting, it's noticing the pressure of your feet on the floor. This may sound small, but it's a reset button. It signals to your nervous system that you're not in danger, that you're safe. And once your body feels safe, your mind follows. Overthinking thrives when the body is tense. Soften the body, and the thoughts slow down too. Now, let's talk about why we keep falling into this trap. Because even when we know we're overthinking, we keep doing it. Why? Because on some level, it gives us the illusion of control. If we analyze enough, we believe we'll avoid pain, failure, or embarrassment. It's the mind's way of saying, if I can just predict every possible thing that might go wrong, I won't be caught off guard. But prediction is not the same as power. Overthinking doesn't give you control. It gives you paralysis. You know this. How many times have you overanalyzed a text message before sending it, only to feel more anxious afterward? How many nights have you spent running through scenarios that never even happened? That's the cost of overthinking. It steals your presence, your peace, and your time. The real power is not in controlling the future. It's in controlling your focus. And you can train this. In psychology, there's something called the spotlight effect. It's the tendency to overestimate how much people notice or care about what you're doing. You overthink because you assume everyone's watching, judging, and remembering your mistakes. But they're not. They're too busy overthinking their own lives. Here's a freeing truth. Most people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. And that's not a bad thing. It's liberating. Because it means you don't need to get everything perfect. You don't need to run simulations in your head to earn their approval. You can just be human. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to mentally rehearse for imaginary conversations. Now, imagine redirecting that energy. What if instead of playing out worst-case scenarios, you asked yourself, what's the next best thing I can do right now? Not the perfect thing, not the safest thing, just the next best thing. This breaks the cycle. Because overthinking is obsessed with the outcome. But progress happens through action, not answers. I'll tell you something personal. There was a time in my life when overthinking controlled everything. Every decision, every conversation, every opportunity, I would drown in mental noise. I would replay things I said. I'd draft emails and never send them. I'd spend more time planning than doing. And the worst part, it felt like I was being productive, like my overthinking was proof I cared. But really, it was just fear in disguise. And then I realized something. I wasn't overthinking because I was smart. I was overthinking because I was scared. Scared of judgment, scared of regret, scared of not being in control. But control is an illusion. No amount of thought can protect you from life. What can protect you is presence, clarity, courage. And those things don't come from thinking more. They come from thinking less and acting more. Let me ask you something. Have you ever taken action on something even though you were scared, and afterward, the fear vanished? That's because action dissolves anxiety. It doesn't matter if the action is small. Send the message, make the call, step outside, move the body. When you act, you shift your state. That's the second psychological truth I want you to understand. Emotion follows motion. You don't wait to feel ready to act. You act your way into feeling ready. So next time you're stuck in overthinking, don't wait for clarity. Don't wait to feel calm. Move, breathe, speak, shift your environment, shift your physiology. If your mind is the storm, your body is the anchor. Overthinking says, don't act until you're sure. But real wisdom says, act and you'll become sure. Now, let's go even deeper. One of the core reasons overthinking happens is that we identify too much with our thoughts. We believe them. We think our thoughts are facts, but they're not. They're just mental activity. Noise. Not everything your brain says is true. This is where mindfulness comes in. And I'm not talking about meditation on a mountaintop. I'm talking about awareness. The ability to step back and watch your thoughts without becoming them. You have to learn to say, I'm having the thought that I might fail, instead of I'm going to fail. That small shift creates space. Space creates choice. And choice is where your power lies. Overthinking thrives when you collapse into your thoughts. But when you rise above them, observe them, question them, that's when they lose their grip. Here's an exercise I use. When you notice your mind spinning, ask yourself this. Is this thought helpful? Is this thought kind? Is this thought even mine? You'd be amazed how many of your thoughts don't even belong to you. They come from past experiences, other people's voices, and old fears. You're not obligated to believe them. And when you stop believing every thought, you start finding freedom. The goal is not to eliminate thinking. The goal is to liberate yourself from its tyranny. You don't need to shut off your mind. You need to stop giving it the steering wheel. That's what this trick is really about. Shifting from overthinking to ownership. Ownership of your focus. Ownership of your state. Ownership of your life. And it begins with the tiniest pivot, from thought to action, from head to body, from future to now. Let's stop here for a moment. Not because we're done, but because the next part will go even deeper. Now that you understand the power of shifting from thought to action, let's talk about another simple but powerful psychological tool that rewires your brain for calm. It's called the 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 grounding technique. It's a quick exercise that forces your mind out of overdrive by focusing your attention on the present moment. Here's how it works. First, name 5 things you can see around you. It could be the light on the wall, the pattern on the carpet, or a plant in the corner. Then, identify 4 things you can touch: the texture of your clothes, the chair beneath you, and your feet on the floor. Next, listen for 3 things you can hear: the hum of a fan, distant traffic, and your breathing. Then, notice 2 things you can smell: maybe the scent of coffee, fresh air, or even the faint smell of your shampoo. Finally, focus on 1 thing you can taste, maybe the lingering flavor of gum or toothpaste. This simple sensory check-in immediately interrupts the endless mental loop of what-if scenarios and snaps your nervous system back to safety. It's a reset button for your brain. You don't have to wait until you're overwhelmed to use this. Practice it daily. Train your mind to land in the present, so that when anxiety or overthinking arises, you have a tool ready to regain control. But there's more than just grounding. Another big reason overthinking spirals out of control is that we tend to ruminate, to dwell on problems without moving toward solutions. The difference between productive thinking and rumination is crucial. Productive thinking is focused, goal-oriented, and leads to action. Rumination is repetitive, passive, and traps you in a loop of worry. Here's a tip. When you catch yourself stuck in rumination, ask, is this something I can act on? If the answer is yes, then write down the next physical step you can take and do it. If the answer is no, then remind yourself that continuing to think about it is wasted energy. One of the most effective strategies to break rumination is setting a worry time. Give yourself a strict 10 to 15 minutes a day where you allow yourself to worry or overthink. Write everything down during that time. When the timer ends, close the notebook and move on. This may sound strange, but it works. It trains your brain to contain worry instead of letting it spill over into every moment of your day. Let's get real for a second. Overthinking doesn't just hurt your mental peace, it affects your health. Chronic overthinking increases stress hormones, disrupts sleep, and lowers immunity. It's a silent thief of your energy and well-being. So learning to stop it isn't just about feeling better mentally. It's about living better physically. Here's a mindset shift that can change everything. Instead of trying to stop overthinking altogether, learn to observe it without judgment. Think of your thoughts like clouds passing in the sky. They come and go. They're not permanent. They don't define you. You are the sky. Your thoughts are just weather. When you remember that, overthinking loses its grip. And here's the final piece: compassion. Be kind to yourself. Overthinking is often rooted in self-criticism and fear of failure. When you catch yourself judging your thoughts or your anxiety, pause. Speak to yourself like you would to a friend who is struggling. Say, "It's okay. I'm doing my best," because you are. And that kindness creates space for calm. Before I finish, I want to leave you with this challenge. Next time you catch yourself overthinking, try the physical grounding technique. Name the things around you. Breathe deeply. Take one small action forward. Notice how the spiral stops. Notice how clarity returns. Overthinking might always be a part of your mind, but it doesn't have to control your life. You can train your brain to step out of the loop and step into your power. If this video helped you see overthinking in a new light, I want to hear from you. What's one thing you'll try next time you feel stuck in your thoughts? Drop your answer in the comments below. Remember, progress is made one small step at a time. If you found value here, please hit like and subscribe. It helps me bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching. Keep practicing presence, keep choosing action, and keep reclaiming your peace. You've got this.